Good evening, my beautiful crime family. Oh, some news coming out. Today's been a busy, busy day, and I really haven't stopped since I got up, which I got up kind of late. Right, Kathleen? But it's been a busy day all the way through with the channel and uh, with my personal life. My family, my sibs, and talk to my brother on the phone and blah blah blah. But yeah, a couple of interesting things here tonight, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some things coming up that's been nailed down good for upcoming shows. But first, I want to say hi to my beautiful crime family, and I really respect all you people in here on such short notice. And this is the real crime family right here. And Randy, good to see you, my brother. Kathleen, my girl, good to see you. Debbie Gazzardo, I love you, girl. Good to see you. And Michelle Cameron, good to see you. Ro, always good to see you. Randy, good to see you. Doc Terry, good to see you. Always. And Full Moon, good to see you. And T Taj, good to see you. And okay, and that does it for now. Okay, so I'm sure you probably already heard this. I'm probably a little late on this, a couple of this, but I could a couple of opinions to say on it too. So I'm just going to get to right to the point here on this breaking news of the day type thing. And I would have got to it earlier, but I wanted to talk to my brother. I hadn't talked to him in so long, and he called me, so I wanted to do that. Uh, of course, I think everybody knows that Dylan Round's body was found, and I'll let you listen to it here. And this is from East Idaho News.
With EastIdahoNews.com, we have some breaking news to bring you right now. The body of Dylan Rounds has been found. Dylan Rounds, his remains have been found. Dylan is the young 19-year-old who vanished over Memorial Day weekend back in 2022. He was a farmer. He moved to the desert town of Lucin, Utah, which is in northern Utah, kind of near the Nevada border, when he vanished. And his family tells me that this morning his remains were found near or in Lucin in a remote area. That's all the information that we have at the moment from his family. Of course, Rounds had been missing since May of 2022. The 19-year-old spoke with his mother on the phone right before he vanished, and his family has spent the past 2 years searching for answers. His mother, Candace Cooley, tells me that as part of a plea agreement with James Brenner, the man accused of killing Dylan, Brenner led the investigators out to the site where the remains were on Tuesday morning, which would be today, on April 9th, in case you're just tuning in, or you're watching on another day. They got there, they found those remains, and they have been recovered. Now, Brenner is charged with aggravated murder and abuse or desecration of a human body in connection to Round's death. Let me show you just how remote this area is. That's where Dylan was farming. That was his camper. That was his truck. And you can see there's not much around this area. It really was a desolate area. James Brenner, this is the man who is facing those charges. Um, he again must have said something to investigators or cooperated or something. We don't have all of the details at this point, but they do have the remains because of where James Brenner led them. This is a spot where James Brenner had his camper. He lived near Dylan Rounds out there. Both of them were in separate campers. And when Dylan's family went out to begin looking for him in late May of 2022, they found his boots right there behind that mound of dirt, which was some distance off. And there was also a shed right by James Brenner's camper. This is what that shed looked like. And within a few days of Dylan disappearing, James Brenner cleaned that shed to the point of how it looks now. You know, it doesn't look very clean, maybe to some of us, but he did remove bags out of that shed, according to Dylan's family, and he did take those to an undisclosed location. And so all of this would likely have come into play if there was a trial. It still could, as far as evidence. But as I mentioned, according to Dylan's family, as part of some sort of plea deal, Brenner took the authorities to the area where Dylan's body was, and they were able to find it. I spoke with Dylan's family. They, of course, are a lot of emotions tonight. This has been such a mystery since for 2 years now. But Candace did ask me to convey, we thank everyone for their support and love. We are grateful we now have Dylan's body and can bring him home as we continue our fight for justice. And unclear when Mr. Brenner will appear in court again. There was a hearing scheduled for this month, but at last check, that was delayed. However, now with the recovery of Dylan's body, it could be had sooner rather than later. I want to show you on a map just where this place is, because it's desolate. And when I say this place, I don't mean where Dylan's remains were actually found, other than it was in the Lucin area, but that's a very large area. But this is where Lucin is. If you pull out here, you can see the Nevada-Utah border right here on the left of your screen. And then over here is Montello, Nevada. Dylan went back and forth between Montello and Lucin quite a bit. This was another, if you want to say big town, it's not real big, but the closest, nearest town to where Lucin is. So he went back and forth between these two places. And in the early stages of the investigation, there was a lot of focus on Montello, and then it seemed to shift into Lucin. I don't even know if there's a population count for Lucin, but they do have an airport, as you can see. If we zoom out quite a bit more, this will give you a reference as far as where this is located. So over here is Tremont in Utah, Brigham City, Malad is here, Lava Hot Springs, Blackfoot, Shelley. So it's right over here. And it's quite a distance if you were to fly from Idaho Falls, or excuse me, if you were to drive from Idaho Falls down to Lucin. But this is where his body was found, and this is where family are breathing a sigh of relief now that his remains have been found. So there still are a lot of questions. There still are some court stuff to obviously get worked out, to get solved, to get taken care of. This has been a case we've covered extensively on East Idaho News since Dylan vanished. In fact, here was a picture just at CrimeCon last year. They put up a "Have you seen me" poster with all of these nice messages around them. Keep fighting. Love how his parents represent him. We will find you, Dylan. Hold on to hope. And then there's these wonderful photos that his mother has shared with us and on publicly on social media. There's little Dylan as a young boy feeding pigs. There he is on a tractor. He loved farming, was big into farming, big into the outdoors, fishing. There he is. I don't know if he's taking care of a sheep there. Looks like he might be. And here he is on a tractor, which, again, he loved to farm. And that's what took him out to that location so that he could begin farming. He was raised in Eastern Idaho. His father is still in Eastern Idaho, Justin Rounds. And tonight, again, they have the answer they've been waiting for. They have recovered Dylan Rounds' body. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest developments. We have reached out to the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office to see if they have any comment. What usually happens in these types of cases is they cannot confirm right away 100%. Like, we know the ID, they'll send the body away for identification, and then it takes a day or two to get 100% confirmation. So that might be the case in this particular case, but we will just have to wait and see what they have to say. But we will keep you updated. And tonight, our thoughts, our prayers go out to Dylan and his family. Such a big piece of the puzzle that's finally, hopefully, closed in, and bringing them a little bit of a closure, or at least some answers to the questions they have had for so long. I'm Nate Eaton reporting.
a sad ending. I think everybody knew, sooner or later that was going to happen, and I'm just glad that they found him and they can bring him home and give him a proper burial. Uh, it's even though the family pretty much knew, it's always hard, and my prayers and my heart go out to the Round family, and uh, I just know it's not easy to get over it. You never do. You never ever do. So yeah, my heart and prayers go out to the Round family. That's one of the stories, and I'm going to get into a little more uh, when I talked to my brother this evening here. We talked about this, and we talked about this case, talked about my crime channel, and talked about things going on in the world. And I'm going to get into that a little more with this next breaking news that came out today. And this one, it's a sad story, but I like the way this ended. And more of this has to be done. And I shall show you here in a second. Oops. Okay, here's the next one.
As a parent, our biggest fear is losing our child or our children. And to lose a child is unimaginable. My heart is really broken for everybody involved.
Two Michigan parents will spend at least a decade in prison after a deadly school shooting carried out by their son. James and Jennifer Crumbly are the first parents of a mass school shooter in the U.S. to be charged, then convicted.
Their son Ethan was just 15 years old when he pulled out a gun at school in 2021, killing 4 people and injuring 7 others. Prosecutors presented evidence that an unsecured gun at home.
Queen City News Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes joins us now. And Khalif, could this sentencing here set a precedent for anything going forward in cases like this?
I think it's a mixed bag answer. I'd say probably not. This was the perfect storm of the worst case scenario. You're talking about a person with mental health issues, parents that were reluctant to do anything. Earlier that day, they went to the school and talked to them, decided to let them stay there. And so because of that kind of timing and all the things that happened surrounding that, I don't think this is something that would change the landscape of how we prosecute cases. But I will say that it allows prosecutors to become, creative with their approach. Sandy Hook, no one was prosecuted. The mother probably could have been prosecuted, but she was fatally wounded. He killed her. She had similar situation to this fact. But other than that, I don't see something like that happening and changing the landscape. Typically, you'll see folks going after now social media companies, and you'll see folks going after the manufacturer. Sandy Hook again, Remington. They sued Remington, got a massive lawsuit after that. I think that's the direction where folks are going. But prosecuting parents, I think, is going to have to be a number of facts that line up, and this one was a perfect situation for the prosecutor.
I have to be able to talk about the impact statements that we heard from the victims, and also you just heard they're trying to be able to not have jail time and avoid jail time was James Crumbly, giving a very different look of what we saw during the sentencing part than what we saw during the trial. But the impact statements from the victims, I think, were so emotional. I remember one parent, I'm paraphrasing here, they said, look, while you were trying to find a gun, I was trying to find my child. How big of a impact did that make with the sentencing?
As someone that has sat in court and listened to this, I represent homicide defendants on a regular basis, and I've listened to these impact statements where you have to listen to a parent talk about the loss of a child. It's the hardest thing to hear. And so while I do think the judge took into account that their statements, I think the judge already knows the sentencing range in Michigan. That manslaughter charge carries a no more than 15 years. The prosecutor wanted her to go above that range. The defense attorney wanted him to go below that range, and the judge went somewhere in in between that 10 to 15 years. I think the victim impact statement does play a count. And I think the father's testimony, his statement was remorseful, unlike during the trial where it did seem like he did not show any
Right.
remorse. So I think that did have an impact, both the parents and the individual statement. And I can say that courtroom, I sat there. I started my legal career right there in Oakland County, my first 2 years of practice. So I intimately familiar with that courtroom. I've heard the testimony of parents in that courtroom crying. It is a real tight, echoey, dark room. And so the whole atmosphere was gloomy. So you can say it definitely had.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There was a misunderstanding there, Michelle. Yeah. And everything's good. She was talking about the case, Michelle. She was talking about what happened to Dylan Rounds. And here you have parents, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but the counselor called those parents because that kid came to that counselor and said, I need help. And the counselor called the parents and they said, oh, he's okay. Just give him his med. And he's okay. I don't know if you knew that or not. I think what they did with this case, they bought that kid an AR. They bought that kid an AR, a kid that has problems, and and it's not the first time that he went to the counselor and said, I need help. Here is a kid going to the counselor, his counselor in school, and the counselor's doing his job by calling that parent and telling the parents that their kid is saying he needs help. Instead, four end up gone. Exactly, be kind. I know. I don't get that. Let me show that, because I don't get it. I don't get it either. Why would you buy your kid an AR? Unless he's 21 years old and he's had safety lessons. If my kids were handling guns when they were very young, 7, 8 years old, I was teaching them how to be safe with their guns. And they shot my guns. Everything from 44 Magnums, M16s. I had M16s. I had ARs. I had it all. I had every gun you could think of. But they learned. They learned at a young age. A young age. I taught them how to handle a gun. And I never, you know what? I've never have bought my kids a gun. Ever. They could shoot mine when I'm there with them, and I showed them how to be safe and how to carry it safe, how to use the safety, where to point it, where not to point it. I taught them at a very young age. But what they did by charging these parents, all I can say, it's about time. It's about time they start holding these parents responsible. They're responsible for those children until what? They get to 21, I think it is now, in some states, right? They are responsible for those children's actions. And if you got guns at home and you just leave them laying around for their kids to grab, like most of these, they did, these parents have done, hold them responsible. We can stop this crap. right here in the United States. We can stop it. There is no reason in this world that we cannot stop this. And I'm not talking about taking guns away. I'm not talking about any of that. It's responsibility coming from the parents. These are my opinions. But I think they're strong opinions. Yeah, well, okay, it wasn't, but they had bought him an AR. If I remember right, they had bought him an AR. But handguns are just as bad. Any kind of gun. You don't leave it out for your child. They should be locked up. And if your child has mental issues and he's begging for help, a lot of people don't know that, but twice, he begged for help, and his parents just blew him off. And it's time, and like I said, we can stop this as a nation. We can stop this nonsense, and that's what it is. It's nonsense, and they're not holding the right people responsible. They hold, you know what? If the parents didn't feed that kid for a week, they'd take the kid away. Because why? Because they're responsible for that child, that kid. Well, it's time to hold them responsible for others. So I was happy to see that. Those parents are getting 10 years. I suppose with good time, they'll get out in probably 7 or 8. But I think that, I think that was the right thing to do. I think that's the right thing to do. Anyway, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with it or anything. Let's see. I don't know what everybody's saying here. Anthony said it was a 9mm. I'll have to look that back up because it's been so long since I've looked at this case. I just am happy that the parents got held responsible, because they're responsible for that kid. Especially when he goes to the school counselor, and the counselor does his job by calling the parents, and the parents had to give him a med, and he'll be all right. He'll be okay. No, it's not the way it should work. I think they did the right thing. No, a little humor to it. You got to have a little humor in life too. Anyway, that's the breaking news, and for you beautiful subs that came in today, and my beautiful mods, I do have another special treat for you, and I'm going to close it out with that. It's a new one. Randy, you'll like it if you're still on here somewhere. Yeah. So anyway, my subs, you are my heart. Oh. There's still more. Saturday night, Friday the 3rd. Is it Saturday now? Kathleen, is it this Saturday? I haven't looked at that deal. Is it this Saturday? We have lined up. Guess who we have lined up for panel? Guess who we have lined up for panel? We have myself. Bubbly Waters is going to be on panel. We Know What You Did is going to be on panel. And so is True Killer Crime. Coming up. I do also have a trailer out there. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's a really nice trailer. I just put it out today. go take a look at that trailer. I like it. And that's on Saturday, right, Kathleen? 7 p.m. Saturday night. We have Bubbly Waters. We have We Know What You Did. And we have True Killer Crime and myself all on panel right here, 7 p.m. Yes, please like up and please subscribe if you have not subscribed to Once Upon a Crime Time. And I'm your host, Tommy Jude. And my subs are the best in the world. And they are my heart. And my mods are my soul. And until next time, Randy, rock and roll.